Welcome. Welcome to this quiet hour. Wherever you are, however the day has folded itself behind you, you are here now. And here, there's nothing to do, nowhere to be, nothing that asks anything of you. Let your shoulders soften. Let the small muscles around your eyes loosen. Let your jaw rest, just slightly apart. Notice the weight of your body where it meets whatever holds you, the mattress, the pillow, the blanket, and allow yourself to be a little heavier than you were a moment ago. Tonight, we are going to travel somewhere very gentle, a place suspended high in a warm sky, held by kites, rocked by a patient wind, a place where books read themselves when the breeze is kind, and where a quiet kite tender named Ona is just beginning her evening rounds. You don't have to remember any of this. You don't have to follow every word. If your mind wanders, that is part of the drifting. If you fall asleep before the story ends, even better. The story will keep going without you, and you will be safe inside it. So, before we begin, let's take one slow breath together. In gently through the nose, and out longer through the mouth or the nose, whichever is easier. Again, in and out. One more. In and a long, soft release. Good. Now, imagine that with each breath out, you are letting a small piece of the day fall away. The tasks you didn't finish. The conversations that loop in your head. The little tightnesses behind your eyes. Each exhale carries them somewhere quieter. They will be there in the morning if you need them. But for now, you can set them down. Imagine, if you like, that you are setting them in a small wooden bowl by the door. A bowl that was always meant for this. A bowl that does not mind how full it gets. You can place anything in it. Anything heavy, anything tangled, and it holds them gently for you until you are ready, much later, to look again. Now let your awareness drift just a little upward, past the ceiling, past the rooftops, past the clouds, until it floats easily in a warm and humid sky. A monsoon sky, not stormy, not at all. A monsoon at its softest, its most thoughtful. Kind of warm wind that moves like a sleeping animal turning slowly in its rest. And there, far below you, you can see the jade sea, wide, calm, a green that is almost milky in the late light. And there, just above the jade sea, hanging in the warm air like a lantern caught between worlds, is the place we are going. The High Monsoon Reading Room. Let your breath settle. Let your eyelids be heavy, and let us begin. You arrive without quite knowing how you arrived. That's how it is here. The reading room is the kind of place that you find by becoming quiet enough. One moment, you are stepping off the last rung of a long bamboo stair, and the next, you are standing on a warm teakwood deck, polished by 100 years of bare feet. And the air around you smells of salt and ginger, and the powdery sweetness of beeswax warming in the lanterns. You take a slow breath in. The wind here is warm. Not hot, warm. The way bath water is warm when you've already been sitting in it for a while. It moves past your face in soft, unhurried pushes, threaded with that scent of salt and ginger. And somewhere, very faintly, the powdery beeswax of the lantern shades. The reading room is a pavilion, an open-sided pavilion of dark, oiled teakwood with a roof of layered rice paper panels held in a wooden frame. The roof is wide and shallow, almost like the brim of a great hat, and it sways, just slightly, just enough to feel, as the monsoon breathes against it, above the roof, holding the whole pavilion in the sky, is a lattice of kites. You tilt your head back to look. The kites are enormous, and there are dozens of them. Some are shaped like long, slow fish, their silk fins rippling in the warm current. Some are shaped like flat leaves. Some are simple diamonds, painted in soft indigos and ochres and pale, washed greens. They flex in the sky like sleeping creatures, like a school of patient fish hanging in still water. And from each one, a thin rope of woven hemp drops down to the pavilion below, where it ties to a wooden cleat along the railing. The kites do not strain. They do not pull. They simply hold, the way a hand holds a sleeping bird, closed enough to keep, open enough to let breathe. Beneath your bare feet, the teakwood is smooth and warm. You can feel the grain of it. You can feel a small softness in the boards where someone has walked, again and again, the same patient circuit. You can hear, very faintly, the slow creak of the pavilion's beams under the rope tension, a creak that is not at all worrying. It is the creak of a cradle, the creak of an old wooden boat at anchor in a calm cove. And there, somewhere overhead, there's a faint chiming, soft brass altitude bells, 3 of them, strung along the highest ridgepole. They ring only when the pavilion drifts up or down. Right now, they ring once, a small clear tone, like a single drop of water falling into a deep clay bowl. And then they are silent again. The pavilion has settled into its night height. You let your eyes wander. The reading room is filled with cushioned alcoves, small nooks lined with cushions of indigo-dyed cotton, deep and soft, the kind of indigo that has been washed many times until it is almost the color of dusk. In each alcove, low shelves hold books, bound in leather, in cloth, in cord, atlases, notebooks, slim volumes of poems whose pages flutter when the wind is kind, turning themselves a page or two and then settling again. A few of the alcoves are occupied. You can see, in one, a man asleep with a half-open book resting on his chest, his glasses folded carefully beside him. In another, a woman is dozing over an enormous atlas. An atlas of clouds, you realize, when you see the soft swirls drawn in pale gray ink across the open pages. In a third alcove, a child has curled up with a small embroidered pillow, their breathing slow and steady, their book closed. No one speaks. No one needs to. The wind speaks for them in its soft pushes against the rice paper roof. The kites speak in their gentle flexing far above. The brass bells, when they speak at all, speak in single soft notes, far apart. And now, from the far side of the pavilion, you see a figure walking, slowly, the way everyone walks here. This is Ona, the kite tender. She is small and steady, dressed in loose, faded indigo trousers and a soft cotton tunic, the color of unbleached linen. Her dark hair is tied at the nape of her neck with a strip of pale cloth. At her waist hangs a small leather pouch, and over one shoulder, a coil of thin, oiled cord. Ona has just begun her evening rounds. She walks the perimeter of the reading room every evening, just as the sky begins to soften toward dusk. She checks each kite line for its tension. She oils the wooden cleats. She refills the lanterns. She brings ginger water to anyone who is awake and might want some. She does this slowly, in a quiet rhythm, because it is the only way the work is done here. There is no hurry. There's no other way to be. You watch her come closer along the railing. As she passes you, she nods, a small, kind nod, and her eyes meet yours for a moment, and then she continues. She does not stop to ask anything of you. You are welcome here. That is already understood. You can stay where you are. You can wander, if you like, very slowly. You can find an empty alcove and lean back into the indigo cushions. There's no wrong way to be here. For now, you decide simply to follow Ona at a quiet distance, to watch her tend the kites, the cleats, the lanterns, and to let the soft work of her evening become your falling asleep. Ona moves to the first cleat along the railing. It is a wooden hook of dark, polished teak, slightly worn where the rope passes over it. The rope is thick, about as thick as her thumb, and it rises away from the cleat into the warm sky, where it disappears much higher up into the underside of one of the great fish-shaped kites. She lays her hand on the rope, just lays it there, palm down, fingers loose. She closes her eyes. She is feeling the tension, not by counting, not by measuring, by listening, in a way, with her hand. She has done this so many evenings now that her hand knows the difference between a kite that is breathing easily and one that is tugging a little. This kite is breathing easily. She opens her eyes, smiles to herself, and moves on. The next cleat is a few steps along the railing. Here, she pauses longer. She unties the rope from the cleat, slowly, hand over hand, and lets it slip a finger's width through her grip before tying it back. The kite above had been holding a little too tightly. Now it can rest a little more. You can almost see it sigh far above, its silk fin rippling out in a longer, softer wave. She moves on to the third cleat. Here, she takes a small jar from her pouch. The jar is made of dark clay, sealed with a wooden lid. Inside is a soft, pale wax, beeswax mixed with a little oil, and the powdery scent of it lifts into the warm air as she opens the jar. Beeswax. The scent of it is so familiar already, after only a few minutes here. You realize it has been around you this whole time, drifting from the lanterns, drifting from the cleats, drifting from the polished wood. She dips 2 fingers into the wax. She rubs it onto the cleat. Slow circles around the curve of the hook into the small groove where the rope sits. The wood drinks it in. The cleat takes on a soft sheen. She does this for each cleat as she passes, opening the jar, dipping her fingers, rubbing the wax in slow, patient circles. You watch the rhythm of her hands. Dip, circle, circle. Cap the jar. Step forward. Lay the hand on the rope. Listen. Step forward. Open the jar. Dip, circle, circle. It is the kind of rhythm that you could watch for a long, long time. It is the kind of rhythm that begins to slow your own breath, whether you mean for it to or not. The pavilion sways. Just a little. Just the way a cradle sways when someone, somewhere, is gently pushing it with their foot. Above you, the kites flex, all together, like a school of fish all turning at once in a slow current. The rice paper roof breathes. The brass bells stay silent. The pavilion has not drifted up or down. It is exactly where it wants to be. Ona reaches the first of the lanterns. The lanterns hang from the eaves of the pavilion, one at each corner, and one at the midpoint of each side, 8 altogether. They are made of thin rice paper stretched over a frame of split bamboo, and they glow amber from within. A low, warm amber, the color of honey poured over a candle flame. She lifts the lantern down from its hook. She does this carefully, with both hands. The the way you might lift a sleeping cat. She opens the small wooden door in the side of the lantern. Inside, there is a clay dish, and in the dish, a low flame on a soft wick. The wick floats in a pool of citronella wax, pale green, faintly herbal, and the scent of it lifts gently into the warm air. Citronella, herbal, lemony, soft. Another scent that has been all around you only now realize since you arrived. From her pouch, Ona takes a small block of fresh wax. She breaks off a piece. She places it carefully into the clay dish, where it begins to soften from the heat of the wick. She watches it for a moment to make sure it is settling. Then she closes the lantern door, lifts the lantern back to its hook, and moves on. The amber glow brightens just slightly. The pavilion grows a little warmer in its light. The sky outside the pavilion is moving toward dusk now. You hadn't noticed at first, but the light has been changing. The warm gold that filled the air an hour ago has softened into a paler gold. And beyond that, far on the horizon over the Jade Sea, you can see the first faint pink of the evening clouds. The sea below has dimmed from jade to a deeper, quieter green. The wind hasn't changed at all. The wind here at this layer of the monsoon is steady and warm and full of salt and ginger, and it will be steady and warm and full of salt and ginger all night long. That is what makes this place possible. That is why the kites can rest. That is why the pavilion can sleep. Ona moves to the next cleat, the next rope, the next lantern. She is about a quarter of the way around the pavilion now. Her hands are sure. Her feet are quiet on the teak. She passes the alcove where the child is sleeping and slows even more, careful not to disturb. She passes the alcove where the man is asleep with a book on his chest, and she smiles a small, private smile, because she has seen this man fall asleep over books many times before. You drift along behind her, or perhaps you have settled somewhere. It doesn't really matter. You can be in two places. You can be both watching her and resting in an alcove of indigo cushions. That is allowed here. Time and place are loose in the reading room. No one keeps strict track. The cushions, when you sink into them, and you do, at some point, sink into a set of cushions in an alcove near the railing. The cushions are deeper than you expected, cool against your skin at first, then warming with you. They smell faintly of indigo dye and dried lavender, and underneath that, the same warm teakwood, the same faint beeswax, the same faint citronella. You let your head rest back. You let your hands rest open in your lap or by your sides. You let the warm wind move over you. From your alcove, you can see a long, soft strip of sky between the railing and the eaves. In that strip of sky, the pink is deepening now. Pale pink, like the inside of a shell. You watch a single thin cloud drift slowly past, so slowly that you can almost match its drift to your own breathing. In and out. The cloud moves a hand's breadth across the sky. In and out. The cloud moves another hand's breadth. The pavilion creaks softly under its ropes. The ropes hold. The kites breathe. You breathe with them. Ona has worked her way around to the alcove where the woman is dozing over the atlas of clouds. She pauses a few steps away, careful not to wake her too sharply. From her pouch, she takes out a small clay cup, pale, unglazed, and from the satchel over her shoulder, she takes out a small earthen pot. The pot has been resting in a sling of woven straw to keep its warmth. Inside is ginger water. Lukewarm ginger water. Not hot, not cold. Lukewarm, with thin slices of fresh ginger steeped in it until the water is just slightly golden and faintly sweet. She pours a measure into the clay cup. The cup fills slowly with a soft, trickling sound. The scent of ginger drifts upward, clean and warm and round, like a small sun held in the palm. Ona sets the cup gently on the low wooden table beside the woman's alcove. She doesn't wake her. She doesn't need to. The woman will smell the ginger at some point in her drifting, and her hand will reach for the cup without her eyes opening, and she will take a slow sip, and she will sink a little deeper into her dozing. That is how it goes here. Ona moves on. You watch her walk along the railing, the small earthen pot of ginger water swinging gently in its straw sling. The wind lifts a strand of her hair and sets it down again. The amber lanterns glow a little warmer now as the sky outside softens. The pink of the horizon is deepening into rose. The first star is beginning to show, low and steady, somewhere out over the jade sea. You let your eyelids grow heavier. You don't close them yet. You don't need to. You can just let them be heavy. Heavier than they were a moment ago. Heavier still. The next part of Ona's evening round takes her to the wind chimes. These are different from the brass altitude bells far above. The wind chimes hang at the corners of the pavilion, just below the eaves, where the warm monsoon catches them most easily. They are made of slender bamboo tubes, each one a slightly different length, and when the wind moves through them, they make a soft, hollow music. Not bright, the way metal chimes are bright, but soft and woody, like the sound of rain falling on a wooden roof very far away. The chimes are not decoration. They are the pavilion's altitude gauge, along with the brass bells higher up. When the pavilion is at the right height, the height where the monsoon is steadiest and warmest, the chimes ring in a particular pattern, a soft rising and falling. When the pavilion drifts too high, the chimes go almost silent, because the wind there is thinner. When it drifts too low, the chimes rattle, because the wind there is wilder. Ona has spent years learning to listen to them. Without thinking, she can tell, just from a few seconds of listening, exactly where the pavilion is in the sky. She stops near the first set of chimes. She tilts her head. She listens. The chimes are ringing softly, rising, falling, rising, falling, a perfect height. She smiles and reaches up and adjusts one of the bamboo tubes. Just a small turn of her fingers to keep it from tangling against its neighbor. She does this for each of the chimes, slowly, around the pavilion. Lift, tilt, listen. Small adjustment. Move on. You listen along with her. The chimes are quiet enough that you have to soften your hearing to catch them, but once you have caught them, you cannot uncatch them. They are part of the air here, rising, falling, rising, falling. A soft wooden breathing. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. Somewhere far below, the jade sea moves, but you cannot hear it from this height. You only know it is there. You only feel the great soft presence of it, far down, holding the world the way a bowl holds water. Ona continues her round. She has been walking for perhaps half an hour now, perhaps a little longer. Time stretches and gathers here, and no one is counting. She has tended a third of the cleats and lanterns and chimes. She will tend the rest. She will not skip any. she will not hurry. The reading room has all the night, and Ona has all the night with it. You watch her crouch beside a low cleat at the corner of the pavilion. This cleat is closer to the floor, and the rope that runs from it climbs at a steeper angle into the sky, toward a kite shaped like a long, narrow leaf. The leaf kite is one of the older ones. Its silk has been patched here and there with squares of paler silk, mended by hands that knew exactly how to mend. But it flies as well as the others, and Ona is fond of it. She lays her hand on its rope. She listens. She nods. She opens the jar of beeswax. She dips. She circles. Circles. Caps. Stands. Moves on. The amber light of the lanterns has begun to take over from the daylight now. The sky outside the pavilion has deepened from rose into a soft violet, and the violet is deepening, in turn, into the blue of early evening. More stars are appearing. 2, now 3, a small handful scattered like grains of pale rice across the dimming sky. Inside the pavilion, everything is amber and indigo. Amber light, indigo cushions, dark teakwood, pale rice paper roof, the colors of warmth and rest, the colors of a held breath being slowly let out. You let your own breath slow further. You don't have to do anything to slow it. You just allow it. The pavilion's slow breathing teaches your breathing what to do. The kites teach it. The chimes teach it. Rising, falling, rising, falling. Ona is now at the alcove, where the man is sleeping with the book on his chest. His glasses still lie folded beside him. His face is calm. His breathing is slow. Ona pauses, sets down her satchel for a moment, and very gently, very carefully, lifts the book from his chest. She marks his page with a thin ribbon. She closes the book. She sets it on the low table beside the alcove, beside his glasses. She covers him with a thin, light blanket of pale cotton. She picks up her satchel. She moves on. The man does not wake. He will not wake until morning. He will wake with the book closed and his glasses ready, and the blanket exactly where he needs it, and he will not know how, and he will not ask. That is how the reading room cares for those who fall asleep inside it. You like this. You like knowing this. You like knowing that. If you fall asleep here too, the same care will find you. No one will jostle you. No one will need you to wake. If your book slips from your fingers, it will be marked and set aside. If you slide deeper into the cushions, a blanket will appear over you. You are held here, exactly the way the kites hold the pavilion, closed enough to keep, open enough to let breathe. Ona continues. She is now perhaps halfway around the perimeter. The pavilion is roughly the shape of a long oval, with a railing all around, and the alcoves set into the inner walls, and the open space in the middle laid with woven mats and low tables. There's a small central hearth here, though it is not lit tonight. The air is warm enough. The lanterns are warm enough. The hearth holds only a few smooth, dark stones and a small clay bowl of dried orange peel, whose faint citrus scent mingles very gently with the citronella and the beeswax and the ginger. You let your gaze move slowly across the pavilion. The amber lanterns, the indigo cushions, the dark, warm teakwood, the pale rice paper roof, softly lit from below by the lanterns, and softly lit from above, now by the rising moon. The patches of starry sky visible between the eaves and the railing, the slow, sleeping shapes of the kites overhead. The kites, in the dimming sky, have become silhouettes against the deep blue, Long fish, flat leaves, soft diamonds. They flex, they breathe, they hold. Ona reaches the lantern at the far corner of the pavilion. She lifts it down. She opens the small wooden door. She breaks off a piece of pale green citronella wax and adds it to the dish. She watches it begin to soften. She closes the lantern. She lifts it back to its hook. The amber light pulses just slightly and steadies. She moves on. A page in a book, somewhere across the pavilion, turns itself in the breeze. You hear the small, soft riffle of it. Another page turns, somewhere else. The books are reading themselves, the way the books here often do. Slowly, patiently, page by page, taking their own time, knowing that no one is in a hurry to read them, knowing that the reading itself is the point. The brass altitude bells ring once, a single soft tone. The pavilion has drifted a meter or so. Then they are silent again. The wind chimes continue their wooden breathing, rising, falling. You realize, somewhere in the back of your mind, that you have been here for a while now. A long, soft while. The day you came from is very far away. It is a small, bright thing on a distant shore. It is not even calling to you. It is letting you rest. You let your eyes close, just for a moment. When you open them again, if you open them again, the sky outside has darkened further. The deep blue has gone almost to black, and now the stars are everywhere. Whole drifts of them, whole soft rivers of them. You have never seen so many stars from any window of your ordinary life. From here, 1,000 meters above the warm jade sea, the stars are uncountable. And among them, the kites still flex, slow, patient, sleeping fish in a sky of light. Ona's round has brought her past your alcove now. She slows, sees that your eyes are heavy, and pours a small measure of ginger water into a clay cup. She sets it on the low table beside your alcove, where you can reach it if you want to, and where you can also leave it if you don't. She does not speak. She nods, once, very softly. She moves on. You reach, slowly, for the cup. The clay is cool and dry against your fingers, but the water inside is warm, lukewarm, the way it always is here, the way warm bath water is warm when you've been in it a while. You bring the cup to your lips. You sip. The ginger is gentle, round and clean. A small, slow warmth that travels down through your chest and settles, very softly, in your belly. You can feel it loosening something. Some small, held thing in the middle of you. Some small, old tightness. Some last small worry left over from the day. It loosens. It dissolves into the warmth. You take another sip. You set the cup back down. The cushions hold you. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. The chimes rise and fall. Across the pavilion, Ona has finished tending the cleats along the inner ring. Now she crosses to a tall ladder that climbs up to the upper rigging, to the place where the main lines from the great kites converge, just under the highest point of the roof. She climbs slowly. One rung. Pause. The next rung. Pause. She is not in a hurry. She is never in a hurry. You watch her climb. Her small silhouette moves upward against the amber-lit rice paper. At the top of the ladder, there's a small platform, just big enough for one person to stand on, with a thin wooden railing around it. From there, she can look up into the underside of the kite lattice. She can see each kite, each line, each knot. She can see whether anything has gone slack or anything has gone tight. She reaches the platform. She stands. She looks up. You imagine what she is seeing. The huge, soft bellies of the kites, lit from below by the lanterns, lit from above by the stars and the rising moon. The lines crossing in a soft, pale lattice, each one humming faintly with the wind. The slow flecks of the silk, the patient breathing of the whole structure that holds her, that holds the pavilion, that holds you. She stands there for a long time, just watching, just listening. She is not checking anything in particular. She is simply being with the kites. This is part of her round, too. This is part of how she tends them. You cannot care for something well unless you have, sometimes, simply stood with it and watched it breathe. Below her, the pavilion is quiet. The sleepers sleep. The pages, now and then, turn themselves. The amber lanterns glow. The chimes rise and fall. The brass bells stay silent. After a long time, Ona begins to climb back down. One rung. Pause. The next. Pause. When her feet touch the teakwood of the pavilion floor again, she takes a slow breath in and a slow breath out, and she smiles to herself. The kites are well. The night is well. Everything is exactly as it should be. She continues her round. The far side of the pavilion, the last of the cleats, the last of the lanterns, the last of the chimes. Lay the hand. Listen. Open the jar. Dip. Circle. Circle. Cap. Move on. Lift the lantern. Open the door. Add the wax. Watch it soften. Close the door. Lift it back. Move on. Lift. Tilt. Listen. Adjust. Move on. The rhythm of it, by now, is so familiar to you that you could almost do it yourself. You imagine your own hands doing it. Your own hand on the rope. Your own fingers in the soft beeswax. Your own slow circles on the wooden cleat. The grain of the wood under your fingertips. The faint sweetness rising from your hand. You imagine lifting a lantern. The lightness of it. The way the small flame inside flickers just slightly when you move it. You imagine adding the wax. You imagine watching it soften. You imagine the amber light growing a little warmer in your hands. You are doing the work without doing it. You are being a kite tender without standing up. The cushions hold you. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. By the time Ona has finished her perimeter round, the night has settled fully. The pavilion has reached the still, deep middle of the warm monsoon evening. The wind has not changed. It is still warm, still threaded with salt and ginger, but it has grown, somehow, quieter. Even though it is still there, even though it is still moving. It is the quiet of a thing fully at rest, while still being alive. Ona returns to the central hearth. She does not light it. She simply pauses there for a moment, sets down her satchel, and unhooks the small earthen pot of ginger water from its straw sling. She pours herself a small measure into her own clay cup. She sits, cross-legged, on a woven mat by the hearth. She drinks slowly. One small sip. Another. A long pause. Another. You watch her sit. You watch her drink. You watch her hands rest in her lap between sips. Her shoulders, which have carried the satchel all evening, are softening now. Her jaw is softening. The small muscles around her eyes are softening. She is allowing the evening's work to settle into her body, and her body to settle into the pavilion. After a while, she stands. She rinses her cup with a small splash of water from a clay jar by the hearth. She sets the cup upside down on a wooden rack to dry. She picks up a small leather book that has been resting on a low shelf by the hearth. The The book is soft, worn at the corners, bound with a thin leather cord. This is the drift log. This is where Ona records the evening. She takes the book to her own alcove. Her alcove is small, near the kite tender's ladder, half hidden behind a screen of woven bamboo. Inside, there is a hammock of pale cotton hung between two beams of the pavilion, with a thin pillow at the head and a folded blanket at the foot. Beside the hammock is a low wooden shelf, and on the shelf, a small clay lantern of her own, glowing softly amber. She sits on the edge of the hammock. She opens the drift log. She takes out a slender wooden pen and a small jar of soft black ink. She dips the pen. She writes. You cannot see exactly what she writes, but you imagine it. A line for the evening's height. A note about the leaf kite, who was holding too tightly and needed to be let out a finger's width. A note about the wind. Steady, warm, true. A note about the sleepers. The man with the book. The woman with the cloud atlas. The child with the embroidered pillow. The new visitor in the alcove by the railing. You are in the drift log now. A small, soft line of ink. A small, soft note that you arrived, and that you were held, and that you slept. She finishes writing. She blows softly on the ink to dry it. She closes the book. She sets the pen and the ink jar back on the shelf. She sets the book beside them. She sits for a moment with her hands in her lap. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. The chimes rise. The chimes fall. Ona reaches up and unties the strip of pale cloth from her hair. Her dark hair falls loose around her shoulders. She unties the small leather pouch from her waist and sets it on the shelf. She slips off her soft cotton sandals and sets them side by side beneath the hammock. She lies back into the hammock. Slowly, the hammock takes her weight. It dips and steadies. She pulls the folded blanket up to her waist. She rests her head on the thin pillow. She breathes in. She breathes out. The clay lantern beside her hammock burns low. She does not blow it out. It will burn itself down to nothing during the night, and she will sleep beside it. And in the morning, it will be a small, cool dish of cold wax. You watch her settle. You watch the slow rise and fall of her chest beneath the pale cotton tunic. You watch her face soften further still. The small lines around her mouth, the small lines beside her eyes, all of them smoothing into rest. She is asleep almost as soon as she is still. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. The chimes rise. The chimes fall. And you, in your own alcove of indigo cushions, are also very nearly asleep. You can feel your body grown heavy, heavier than when you arrived, heavier than when you first sank into the cushions. Your legs are heavy. Your arms are heavy. Your hands are heavy and open. Your jaw is loose. Your shoulders are loose. Your eyelids are very, very heavy. Let them close if they haven't already. Let them rest. Let them stay rested. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. The chimes rise. The chimes fall. You can hear, very faintly, the soft riffle of a page turning somewhere across the pavilion. A book reading itself. A book that has all the night to read. You can smell, very faintly, the warm salt, and the warm ginger, and the warm beeswax, and the warm citronella, all woven together in the warm monsoon wind. You can feel, very faintly, the soft sway of the pavilion beneath you, the slow rock of the cradle in the sky. 1,000 meters below, the jade sea moves quietly in the dark. You don't have to hear it. You just know it is there. A great, soft holding. 1,000 meters above the jade sea, the pavilion holds you. The kites hold the pavilion. The wind holds the kites. The sky holds the wind. The night holds the sky. You are held. You are held. The lanterns glow amber. The cushions hold you. The wind is warm. The kites are sleeping. Ona is sleeping. The man with the book is sleeping. The woman with the cloud atlas is sleeping. The child with the embroidered pillow is sleeping. You are sleeping. Or you are very nearly sleeping. You are very nearly there. You are letting the last small threads of the day drift away, one at a time. There is nothing more to do. There is nothing more to tend. The cleats are oiled. The lanterns are full. The chimes are tuned. The log is written. The kites are well. The night is well. Everything is exactly as it should be. The pavilion sways. The kites breathe. The chimes rise and fall. Rise and fall. You breathe in and you breathe out. In and out. The warm wind carries you. The amber light holds you. The indigo cushions hold you. The pavilion holds you. The kites hold you. The sky holds you. Sleep now. Sleep if you would like to. The reading room will keep reading itself. The kites will keep breathing. The chimes will keep rising and falling. Ona will keep sleeping in her hammock nook, the small lantern beside her burning slowly down. The warm monsoon will keep moving past the pavilion all night, threaded with salt, threaded with ginger, threaded with the powdery sweetness of beeswax, and you will keep being held all through the night. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Good night. You are still here, in the pavilion, on the indigo cushions, beneath the slow amber lanterns. You do not have to go anywhere. You do not have to be anyone. You are simply a small, warm shape, breathing on a wooden floor, high in the warm, dark air. The kites above you sway. Their long tails drift. The paper rustles very quietly, like the turning of a single page in a faraway room. A single page, turning, in a faraway room. You do not need to read it. You do not need to know what it says. It is being read for you, by the wind, by the night, by the slow, patient hands of the reading room itself. You let your shoulders settle a little deeper into the cushions. You feel the small give of the silk beneath your cheek. You feel the warmth of the air on the back of your hand. The warmth of the air, the give of the silk, the slow amber light. These three things, only these three things, the warmth, the silk, the light. Somewhere below the pavilion, far down through the warm dark, the town is also sleeping. The little lanes are quiet. The tea houses have closed their shutters. The bakers have banked their ovens. The harbor boats are tied to their cleats, rocking very gently, the way the pavilion rocks, the way the kites rock, the way you rock, all of it together, all of it at the same slow pace. The whole town is breathing, in and out. The whole bay is breathing, in and out. The whole warm sky is breathing, in and out. And you are breathing with it. If a small thought comes to visit you now, a small thought about tomorrow, or about something you forgot, or about a word you almost remembered, you do not have to follow it. You can let it drift past, the way the kites drift past, the way the warm wind drifts past, the way the chimes drift past on their slow rising notes. The thought is a kite. It has its own string. It is tied to its own cleat. Someone kind is tending it. You do not have to. You can let it go. You can let it all go. The day, the lanes, the tea house, the stairs, the logbook, the brass bells, the cedar shelves, the little brushes of beeswax. All of it is taken care of. All of it is held. The wind shifts very slightly, and one of the chimes near the eaves answers, a single low note, a note like a finger drawn slowly around the rim of a bowl. The note rises. The note hangs. The note falls. Another chime answers from the far side of the pavilion, a slightly higher note, rising, hanging, falling. Then a third, almost too soft to hear, somewhere deep among the kites. 3 notes, one after the other, slow as honey poured from a wooden spoon, and then quiet again. The chimes settle. The kites settle. The pavilion settles. You settle. The amber lanterns are lower now. You did not see them lower. They simply are. Their glow is softer, warmer, the color of a banked fire seen through closed eyelids. The color you see when you press your hands gently over your eyes on a sunlit afternoon. That kind of warm, that kind of slow, that kind of safe. Ona has not moved. Her small lantern beside the hammock has burned down by another finger's width, and the wick glows steady and orange. Her breath is even. Her hand rests open on the edge of her blanket. The man with the book has not moved. His book has slid a little to one side, but he does not need it now. His breath is even. The woman with the cloud atlas has not moved. The atlas is folded under her arm like a soft pillow. Her breath is even. The child with the embroidered pillow has not moved. The embroidery on the pillow shows small fish swimming in slow circles, and the child's cheek rests on one of the fish, and the fish does not mind. Everyone is breathing in the same slow rhythm. In and out. In and out. You are part of that rhythm. You always were. Outside the pavilion, the warm monsoon goes on with its long, patient work. It moves over the dark water of the bay. It moves up the warm hills. It moves through the tops of the tamarind trees, which sigh very softly. The way the kites sigh. The way you sigh when you finally let your shoulders down at the end of a long, kind day. The monsoon is not in a hurry. It has all night. It has all the nights. It will go on threading the air with salt and with ginger and with the powdery sweetness of beeswax long after you have stopped noticing. You can stop noticing now. You can let the salt go. You can let the ginger go. You can let the beeswax go. You can let the chimes go. You can let the lantern light go. You can let the cushions go. You are not falling. You are not floating. You are simply resting, at the height where the kites rest, at the height where the warm wind rests, at the height where the night rests its great soft hand. Resting, resting, resting. If you notice your breath, that is fine. If you do not notice your breath, that is also fine. The breath knows how to breathe itself. It has been doing it all your life. It will do it through the night, faithfully, quietly, without needing your help. In and out. In and out. Slower now. Slower. The pavilion makes one of its small wooden sounds, a soft creak from somewhere in the rafters, the kind of sound an old kind house makes when it is settling for the night. It is not a sound to listen to. It is a sound to be held by. The pavilion is old and kind, and it has held many sleepers. It knows how. You are one of its sleepers tonight. It is glad to have you. The light is lower still. One of the lanterns nearest the eaves has dimmed to the color of a ripe persimmon. Another, deeper inside the pavilion, has dimmed to the color of poured honey. A third, just above where you are lying, is the color of warm sand at the very end of the day. Persimmon, honey, warm sand. These are the colors holding you. Far above, the kites have folded their tails in close. They are roosting, the way long-tailed birds roost, with their bright paper wings tucked, with their bamboo bones at rest. The strings between them are loose and easy. No one is pulling. No one needs to. The warm air does all of the holding now. The warm air does all of the holding. The warm air. Holding. You feel the cushion beneath your cheek soften by another small degree. You feel the blanket. There is a blanket now, light as a folded cloud, drawn up over you by some kind unseen hand. Settle around your shoulders. You feel the small weight of it at the small of your back, at the bend of your knee, at the place where your hand rests near your face. The blanket is warm. It smells faintly of cedar, faintly of beeswax, faintly of the powdery sweetness that has been threading the air all night. You do not need to wonder where the blanket came from. It came from kindness. That is all you need to know. The chimes are quieter now. They're not really ringing. They're only breathing. A soft metal breath, every so often, when the wind remembers them. A soft metal breath, then quiet. A soft metal breath, then quiet. You are very nearly asleep. You may already be asleep. It is not important to know which. The two places are very close together now, like two pages of the same open book, and you may slip from one to the other without noticing the seam. That is fine. That is exactly as it should be. If a dream begins to form at the edge of you, you can let it. It will be a kind dream. The reading room only keeps kind dreams on its shelves. They are bound in soft cloth. They are stored in cedar boxes. They are labeled in a careful, quiet hand. Perhaps a dream of a long, warm beach at dusk. Perhaps a dream of a small boat on a slow river. Perhaps a dream of a garden where the lanterns are paper fish. Perhaps a dream of nothing at all, only soft color, only warmth, only the feeling of being held. Any of these is fine. All of these are waiting for you. You may choose, or you may let the dream choose you. The warm wind moves once more through the pavilion, slow and long, like a single deep breath drawn by the whole night sky. The kites lift, the smallest amount. The chimes whisper. The lantern flames lean and then settle, and then the wind moves on. It has other sleepers to visit. It will be gentle with them too. You are warm. You are safe. You are held. You are held by the cushions. You are held by the blanket. You are held by the pavilion. You are held by the kites. You are held by the warm wind. You are held by the night sky. And under all of that, you are held by your own slow breath, which is the oldest kind hand of all. In and out. In and out. The reading room will go on without you now. It will go on quietly. The cedar shelves will keep their slow, patient watch. The brass bells will rest. The logbook will lie closed on its little table. The kites will roost. Ona will sleep through to the gray hour before dawn, when she will rise and trim the wicks and write a single line in the log. The night was kind, and then go back to her hammock for one last rest. You do not need to be there for any of it. It will all happen gently without you. That is the great kindness of this place. It does not need you to keep it. It only wants to keep you. So let yourself be kept. Let yourself be kept by the warm air, by the amber light, by the indigo cushions, by the soft blanket, by the slow chimes, by the breathing kites, by the breathing pavilion, by the breathing night, by the breathing night, by the breathing night. Your eyes are closed, or nearly closed. Either is fine. Your hands are open, or nearly open. Either is fine. Your breath is slow, slower, slower still. There is nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to remember. There's nothing to forget. There's only this, only this, only this. The warm wind, the amber light, the soft blanket, the slow breath, warm, soft, slow, warm, soft, slow. You are sleeping now. You are sleeping, and the kites are sleeping, and the chimes are sleeping, and the lanterns are dimming one by one, down to embers, down to small, steady glows, down to the deep, warm color of a banked fire on a winter hearth. And Ona is sleeping, and the man with the book is sleeping, and the woman with the cloud atlas is sleeping, and the child with the embroidered pillow is sleeping, and the pavilion is sleeping, and the town below is sleeping, and the bay is sleeping, and the warm hills are sleeping, and the long monsoon is moving softly over all of them, like a hand smoothing a blanket, smoothing the blanket, smoothing the night, smoothing you. You are smoothed. You are smoothed and warm and held. You are smoothed and warm and held and breathing. In and out. In and out. Rest now. Rest, rest. There's nothing more. There's only the warm dark and the slow breath and the kind night. The warm dark, the slow breath, the kind night. The warm dark, the slow breath, the kind night. Sleep, sleep, sleep. The reading room is quiet. The kites are still. The chimes are still. The lanterns are low. The blanket is warm. The cushions are soft. You are held. You are held. You are held. Good night. Good night. Good night. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Sleep all the way through to morning. And if morning comes, it will come gently, with the gray hour, with a soft, small bell, with a smell of warm bread from somewhere far below, with the first slow light on the paper of the kites. But that is hours and hours away. For now, there's only the night. For now, there's only this. For now, you are held. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Good night.